the Jeju Massacre, the Jeju April 3rd Uprising, the Jeju Rebellion, the Jeju 4-3 Incident, Sassam, or simply Jeju 4-3. What happened here on Jeju Island some 70 years ago goes by many different names because what happened is still not very well known, debated, and very much multifaceted. But what most journalists and academics and reporters and activists can agree upon is that upwards of 30,000 Jeju Island residents were killed by state violence between 1947 and 1954. The factors that led to this mass killing are various, starting with the power vacuum that was created when, following liberation, when after the Japanese left power and the year or so before the American military took hold here. And during that vacuum, the leftist people's committees became the de facto government of Jeju. But after Jeju was made a province, a mass influx of police from the mainland, increased taxes, the banning of the people's committees, and the failure to expunge Japanese collaborators from the military and the police, and corruption by the U.S. military, turned the island into a tinderbox that exploded on March 1st, 1947. Now, on March 1st, 1947, it is the Korean Independence Movement Day. Some 20,000 people arrived at Gwangdeok-jong Plaza in Jeju City to simultaneously celebrate Independence Day, Independence Movement Day, but also to protest all the factors that I said before, all the local issues, including as well on the horizon was the upcoming division of Korea. Now, at around 2:45 p.m. that day, after all the speeches had been given, after most of the event was over and people were leaving the plaza to go to their separate homes, a mounted police officer's horse kicked a child. Now, the Jeju people were already upset with the police. So when this happened and the police officer tried to get away, it's unclear if he knew what happened or not. The Jeju residents who saw were furious. And they followed the police officer who was making his way to the nearby police station. And the Jeju people threw rocks and jeers and tried to, insult the police officer. Now, at the police station where they were following the police officer to, there was armed guards. And those armed guards, when they saw the people coming towards them, thought they were under attack and opened fire, killing 6 and injuring 6 more. This is the event where all those issues I was telling you about culminated into the start of the Jeju Massacre. Now, after the shooting, locals, furious with the police, made demands that among those demands was that those who committed the murders, the shootings, should be executed. And if their demands were not met, they would go on strike. Well, tens of thousands of people participated in that strike. That started on March 10th and it lasted about 10 days. Days after the strike began, Chief of National Police Jo Byung-ok came to the island with the mission to expunge the island of its leftist influences. Now, this man was a hardline anti-communist who saw the violence and the strike on Jeju as an attack against the nation which had yet to be born. And he said that Jeju harbored leftist or rebellious ideas, and he would wipe out anyone who got in the way of the nation's formation. He was one of the people who labeled the March 1st Independence Movement Day shooting as a rebellion. Now, and after it, he started rounding up protest leaders. Now, come April 1948, thousands of Jeju residents were jailed in small cells, subjected to torture. The police presence was booming, and the elections that would confirm the bifurcation of the Korean Peninsula were looming. Stripped of power, the members of the South Korean Labor Party organized a poorly armed attack on the morning of April 3rd, 1948. This is where Jeju Massacre, the Jeju April 3rd Incident, whatever name you want to call it, originally got its name from. And they descended down Mount Hala and attacked 12 of the island's police boxes. There were 24 at the time, so this was half of all that were there. Why did they do this? Well, it depends on who you talk to, right? It seems like all the issues boiled over, whether they be local, national, or geopolitical. Though I would put more emphasis probably on the local concerns because these were local Jeju people. In August, so a couple months after the poorly armed attack of 350 guerrillas of the South Korean Labour Party, South Korea's first president and anti-communist Syngman Rhee was elected in an election that the Jeju people did not participate in. They boycotted it. However, if what happened on April 3rd is considered to be the rebellion or uprising of this event, what happens next is the Jeju massacre. In October, a line was drawn around Jeju, creating a 5-kilometer band around the coast that was safe, while the rest of the island was a quarantine zone where the military and police were given orders to treat everyone within the majority of the island as rioters and be shot to death, because it was believed that the people who conducted the April 3rd rebellion were hiding in the mountains. Now, over the next 3 months, Jeju burned. All the survivors I've spoken to, we talk about these next few months as a time where the night sky was lit red with fire and smoke, because they were going to all the villages on the mountain region and just setting them ablaze. Now, they did this in hopes that in the quarantine for people to leave the mountain region and go to the coast, but they actually had the opposite effect because many people didn't know what was going on. They didn't get the order. So what they did was they actually escaped further into the mountain, further into the caves of Jeju, for hiding from these counter-insurgency members who were skulking through the islands with armed and with bamboos to prod through caves looking for people. A lot of them just regular citizens who happened to live there and were caught in the middle of the civil dispute, what was going on. Now, this is when the majority, in the next few months, is when the majority of the 30,000 Jeju Islanders were killed. By next April. And still, reporters, academics, activists are still trying to figure out why this happened and what exactly did happen on Jeju 7 years ago.